Hello, puzzle people. Welcome if it's your first time here. Welcome back if you've been here before. There are quite a few new followers since my last video, and I appreciate every single one of you being here. After a bit of a hiatus to compete at the World Championships in Valladolid, Spain, and a much-needed rest when I got back to Canada, I am returning with some Worlds recap videos. This is going to take place over the next week or two, try to get as much content out of that event as possible. And I will eventually be returning to the regular scheduled content on this channel, which includes speed puzzling tips and tricks, talking with fellow speed puzzlers, as well as talking about my own puzzle story. Now, in these Worlds recap videos, there will be a slight focus more towards the Canadian speed puzzlers, as that is who I would have spent more time with while I was there. But I will be including some stories from non-Canadians, as well as my own personal views and opinions on how Worlds went over the course of the many days that the competition took place. I am still in the midst of recording these videos, especially the later days of the competition. So if there is something you think I should definitely be including that you think I may have missed, or you just think it's a funny story that should be included, please feel free to reach out to me through my Instagram channel, at Canadian Puzzle, same as this channel. And yeah, let me know what other funny, maybe not so funny, stories you would like to have included. So let's get right into it with the first day of the World Championships, which took place on Monday, September 15th. And this was the day before any of the knockout stages even occurred yet. It is also important to know that every day at Worlds felt like it was their first day running a competition like this, and that will be a running theme throughout. So let's just keep that in mind throughout this video, as well as the ones coming up after this. Everything I mention in these videos is of my own opinions and thoughts. Any stories I may tell, I'll either have witnessed it myself or have confirmed it with multiple different people. So nothing is being made up for this. I do not have sponsorships or attachments to any puzzle companies or organizations. So nothing is being influenced when it comes to my opinion for this, as will probably become quite evident, especially in upcoming videos. But let's focus on day one. Day one included 3 key events, which was the opening ceremonies, the Guinness World Records Challenge, as well as the WJPF Organization Nations Challenge, the most awkwardly named event of the entire week, but we'll just call it the Nations Challenge to make it a bit easier. This was also my first time attending Worlds ever, so everything was new to me. Of course, you hear stories from previous people that have attended. You hear other stories from those who no longer go to Worlds. Everything is taken with a bit of a grain of salt until you get to experience it the first time. Everyone's seeing it through their own eyes and have their own thoughts and opinions and views on how the event is run. But as I go into all these different days of the week and stories and things that take place, I do want to mention to all the people that volunteer to help out. They did such a great job over the course of the week. There's so much to do for the camera people, the volunteers, as I said, the individuals that are commentating the events, who I'll talk about a little bit as well. The participants themselves, the family members that come to support, the people that are watching the live streams. There's just so much going on with it. So while I will be talking about some aspects that weren't ideal, there were so many people working behind the scenes and in front of the scenes to really make sure that the week was as successful as it maybe could be under certain circumstances. Because it was my first time there, the day before day one, I did wander down to the Millennium Dome, where the events all take place over the course of the Worlds week. I wanted to see it the day before because, of course, I've seen so many photos of it. I've seen videos of people inside the dome and around it, stories of the dome, and is such a unique looking building. I'll be spending the majority of the next week in there, so I did want to wander down, see where it is, also take the stress off of trying to find it on the first day of competitions. But it was a nice way to kind of land in Spain, go for a nice walk, see where this dome is when it's quieter the night before. So yeah, I took a walk down there just to see the dome. And this is kind of where I thought the week might be a bit more rocky than I think. The opening ceremonies will start the next day, but I get to the dome at about 6 p.m. local time the day before the opening ceremonies kick off. And I take a picture. Some of the doors are open, and I take this picture. We are just less than 18 hours away from the event kicking off. I'm assuming people are not going to be working throughout the entire night, but this is a fully empty dome. There is some scaffolding in there for whatever reason, and 2 cars, and for the life of me, over the course of the next week, I cannot figure out how they got 2 cars into that building. They're not pictured in this photo, but there were definitely 2 in there. But the dome is empty, and there's a lot to get done for the next day. I'm assuming they're going to want things set up for to sell things, to sell puzzles, to sell merchandise, to have places to sit for the opening ceremonies. There are 2 events taking place the next day as well. So there's a lot to get done. And the fact it's the night before and nothing is set up, not ideal. Not a great start. So while I was kind of peeking in to see what they're doing, I'm still not quite sure what the scaffolding was for. There's one thing I do know for sure, in hindsight, it was not to work on the air conditioning, and that will be a running factor for the majority of the week. Back to day 1. The opening ceremonies are about to start. They've been delayed for whatever reason by a little bit. We are walking into the dome, and as you walk in, you realize this is probably one of the warmest, hottest places I've ever been in, and I lived in the Middle East for almost a decade, and this was by far some of the worst heat I've wandered into. I couldn't tell if it was humid or wet, but still dry. It was difficult to breathe, but you started sweating absolutely instantly. So there was definitely some humidity taking place in there, and the fact that no events had even started yet. This was a warning sign immediately. Now, walking into the dome was a bit of a surreal experience. Like I mentioned, I've seen photos, I've seen pictures, but it was also the first time it really clicks in that you are at the World Championships for speed puzzling. You see all the different people from their various countries wearing their shirts, whether it's their national shirts or their personal speed puzzling shirts. You're seeing there's puzzles and such for sale. There's the excitement in the room. Nobody is really quite sure what's going on because the setup is a bit odd in the middle, but there's a lot going on. And as you walk through the doors with hundreds upon hundreds of people, it was something to experience. The dome also looks tiny from the outside. I thought it would be a much larger dome, I guess. Again, you see pictures of it, but once you are standing there looking at the dome, it is much smaller from the outside. However, once you walk into it, it feels much larger. I refer to it as kind of the TARDIS effect here, where it is much larger on the inside than it looks. And it is quite the building. It's an interesting and a unique location to have it. If it was cooler, that would be lovely. But it's a nice building to be in as opposed to a standard convention center room where you see most national competitions take place. This is a better venue. It's a more scenic place to puzzle. But walking in was a good motivator for the week to come. It was nice to be finally in the building where I will be spending the majority of the next 7 days. Whether I'm puzzling or not, I know I'll be spending a lot of time in this building. So yeah, it was a good way to kind of throw everybody into the event or the competition. Unfortunately, there was also a complete lack of organization immediately from walking in through those doors. Yes, the doors opened a bit late, probably because they were still setting things up, because I can't imagine they were going to finish everything on time based on what I saw the night before. But it's a ceremony. It's an opening ceremony thing that you would plan, and in my thought, you'd have some sort of organizational system with it, where each country would maybe have the section that they would belong to. There were over 50 Canadians, just over 50 people from Canada, including families and other people, immediately separated as soon as you walk through, and trying to get everyone back together, impossible. So everyone's quite scattered. Now, you could argue that there's some benefits to it, and the ceremonies is about everybody mixing together from all the different countries. But if you think about any other country-based event, the nations kind of stay together in the opening ceremonies. Closing ceremonies is when everyone is now intermingled together and it's kind of saying goodbye to everybody. But walking in, it was chaos from the start. It was, there's no way to know where you're supposed to go. The speakers might have been the loudest speakers I've ever heard in my entire life. So you don't want to be super close to the front, but then if you're too far back, it's all mixed. It was just, turn the speakers down. Like, that's, please. It's a small dome designed for sound to travel. Turn the speakers down. But it was, yeah, it was a bit chaotic right from the beginning. I'm also super happy that they started the opening ceremonies at high noon, a time of day that is well known for being cold. So that didn't help things. And like I said, you could feel that this was a hot room right from the beginning. People that have been there before immediately started saying this is hotter than they've experienced in previous years. And again, important to note, no competitions have started. So there's no adrenaline going. There's no extra body heat being used through competitions, whether it's individual or team events. So it already being that hot, a hot room, a lot of electronics going on in there, a lot of people, certainly nothing is going to go wrong. Now, I'm not someone who takes a lot of photos and videos. I just forget, and then I rely on other people to maybe do it, and I'll get photos and videos from them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So a lot of photographic evidence is not something I'm providing here. But what was good is that all the events were live streamed around the world. So the opening ceremonies was the first thing to be live streamed. I was going to go back and get some specific timings for this story. However, that was not possible. I couldn't find, maybe I'm just overlooking it, but I could not find the opening ceremonies on the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation's YouTube page. And that is likely because within the first few minutes of the event starting, all the power for the electronics went out. And I'm thinking it was probably because it was 10,000 degrees inside of that dome, give or take a few degrees. Because we have so many people in that dome, it was the very first event. It was the first time everything had to work and go perfectly. Of course, something was going to go wrong. And yeah, the power went out minutes into the opening ceremonies. While some of the power did come back, some of the basic things that they needed to use, like the microphones, and thank goodness the super loud speakers eventually came back, it very much took some of the excitement out of the room. And a lot of people ended up just kind of walking out to be outside where it was still warm, but not as warm as being in the dome. And there was other events coming up that day, so I don't think it was the best start to the opening ceremonies, or the week in general. People did want to relax for a little bit outside before the world record attempt started at 1 p.m. Again, perfect time of day to be inside of a dome with hundreds of people. But you know what? It's their first day. It's fine. I have no idea what the world record attempt was. Couldn't tell you. I participated in it, but I don't know what the actual world record was. I've been a part of mass world record attempts before. They're fun to do, but usually they're extremely specific because they need to be. Guinness World Records, you need to be able to measure exactly what you're trying to beat the next time they do it. So was this to be the world? Was it the world's fastest attempt to complete a certain size puzzle? I think in this case it was 40,320 pieces was the puzzle. Was it that specific size? Was it having the most amount of people complete a puzzle? I honestly do not know what the world record is. So I went back to the website, double checked to see what it said, and maybe it would be a bit clear. And this is what the website says. A record-breaking challenge at the opening of the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship in Valladolid. The city of Valladolid, Spain is gearing up for a historic moment during the opening day of the 2025 World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship, taking place from September 15 to 21. This year's edition kicks off with a breathtaking challenge that promises to make headlines and puzzle history alike. Breathtaking, yes, because it was incredibly hard to breathe inside of that dome. The challenge: assemble a 40,320 piece puzzle in under 1 hour. Okay, so yes, that is a challenge. Is it a record? Like, is that what the limit had to be? Has someone else done this puzzle in an hour and 6 minutes? Like, is that the record? Just to do the puzzle in under an hour? Well, okay, let's keep going. The goal is as ambitious as it is exciting. To complete one of the largest jigsaw puzzles in the world. Okay, so it's not even the largest in the world, but okay. The iconic Disney Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with 40,320 pieces in under 60 minutes. The ultimate objective, here we go, to secure a place in the Guinness World Records for an unprecedented feat in the world of competitive puzzling. What's the record? I have no idea what the record is. And will they attempt this again next year as well? Will we try to beat it next time? Is it the same puzzle as next time? I don't know what the record is. I don't. If you do know what the specific record is, that if you know those Guinness World Record books that they print each year, if this were to show up in there, it wouldn't, but if it were to show up in that book, what is the specific record? If anybody knows what that is, please let me know. I have asked a bunch of people. They're not quite sure what it is. As we walked into the dome, we still didn't know what it could possibly be. It definitely isn't for most amount of people because they weren't counting anything. And that's just the tip of the iceberg here. The puzzle in that description isn't what the puzzle was that we were doing. It was Mickey Through the Years, I believe, is what the puzzle turned out to be, not Mickey's Clubhouse. Again, maybe the puzzle's named something different, but as far as I know, they called it on the day Mickey Through the Years. And for a puzzle competition, I'm sorry, but we did not put a puzzle together in the time that they're saying that we did. Every piece was already pre-packaged to put in place. The puzzle was broken down into bags of 42 pieces that were handed out to people. As you finished one, they took it away. Each labeled with a barcode, so they knew exactly where it was going to go on a massive grid in the center of the room. Now, I've done a lot of puzzles. None of them have come in pre-designed bags with grids on them as part of any competition that I've been in. How Guinness would count this as putting together a puzzle in a certain period of time, I don't know how they do that, because someone would have had to put this puzzle together for 40,000 pieces, then broken them down into 42-piece rectangles, put them into a ton of different bags, and then label each of them, then hand them out to people, then put them back into the grid. This isn't how you put a puzzle together. Yes, it was a fun little moment in there. Yes, it was warm. I put together, I think, 3 bags, so I contributed, 126 pieces to the puzzle. Awesome. It was an experience. Was it a world record? No. What did make me laugh with this, though, is before the attempt started, an idea was proposed that we would do it once, because I think they sectioned off 2 hours to do this. We would do it once, see how the time was, and then maybe attempt to do it again. So break down that puzzle again, put everything back into those little tiny bags, reorganize it all, and do it. That would take forever. And there's still the nation's event competition to take place later on that same day. So absolutely not happening. And go for a faster time. Now, the time was fast enough. I think it was 25 minutes and 55 seconds, give or take a second, and which was great. You're not going to get faster than that. You're going to be spending hours breaking those bags, breaking that puzzle down into bags, much longer than those 25 minutes. So it was great to see so many people. I think they said between 300 to 400 people took part in it. It was just a fun little activity. Guinness World Record? No. They ended up deciding not to do the puzzle over again because, obviously, there was a collective laugh when people, especially considering everyone in there is there to puzzle. So they've done a few. They know what it's like to break down puzzles and organize things like that. There was a collective laugh at the proposed idea. They didn't go through with it, but you know what? It's the first day. It's fine. And part of the reason they didn't do that attempt a second time is likely because, yes, they still have the Nations Challenge that to take part that day, which isn't taking place until 6 p.m., just when it's starting to get a little bit cooler outside, not in the dome. It was definitely just as hot in the dome. Up to 25 nations took place. They could send up to 10 representatives from their country. I did hear after that some of the smaller countries joined together. Absolutely fine with that. I don't know which countries it was or if it definitely happened. It was mentioned on one of the live streams that it may have happened, but really it's the bigger, more well-represented nations that had their full teams of 8 up to 10 puzzlers. Each table was going to be giving a 1,500-piece puzzle, and we didn't know what the puzzle would be in advance, but we knew it wasn't a new release. It was a previously published puzzle, which was a bit annoying to me, at least. This is the World Championships. We are already in Europe. Germany is not that far away. Ravensburger factory is right there. 25 new 1,500-piece puzzles couldn't have been printed. There's a lot of moments where balls are being dropped, where there's such big opportunities to push new aspects to puzzling. 1,500-piece puzzles are not the most popular puzzles, especially in any company's catalog. So this was an opportunity as well to pick a puzzle that was more unique. It was one to kind of maybe launch the 2026 catalog for Ravensburger. No, they just picked a puzzle that has already been released, and it was a choice. There's a lot of speculation as to what the puzzle could be as well. There are a good number of 1,500 piece puzzles that Ravensburger has released over the years. I know some people, myself included, on Team Canada was sat down and kind of went through potential options, what might be interesting for them to pick, what would be good for a team to do. Maybe kind of relating it more closely to the world record attempt from the year before, with the 2,000 piece puzzle being completed as fast as possible. That was a world record attempt. That was very clear. I don't know why they got rid of that round at all. That's an easy thing to measure year on year as well. We know what the puzzle is. Let us practice it and then show up and do that puzzle even faster. But again, it is what it is. I have no idea what the final standings were for the Nations Challenge. I've gone back and I've watched the live stream recording. I know the Netherlands win, so congratulations to them. But after that, the camera is kind of moving around a fair bit. I think Canada finishes around 9th place, give or take a spot. But there's no standings or results or anything posted anywhere for this on the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation website. Nothing. Barely anything mentioned on social media pages, in posts. Maybe there were stories at the time, but nothing. And I don't know. This event that I was a part of, it was, up until this point in time, the hottest environment that I have ever puzzled in. I was dripping sweat, and when you picture someone dripping sweat and it's just that's where we were for this. And looking around at the other tables, maybe one of the reasons the Netherlands did so well is they had a whole army of people fanning them down. The air conditioning was absolutely not working whatsoever during this, and it was gross. There was, yes, it was gross. I guess one benefit to it is that at least it let the competitors who participated in the Nation Challenge, and potentially some of the people spectating as well, kind of get a glimpse into how this week was going to be in the Dome, where, yeah, you got to make sure that you are as hydrated as you have ever been in your entire life. Make sure that you're eating, that you have those electrolytes and sodium is in your body, because this is going to be a hot environment. Yeah, you might only be in there for half an hour, 90 minutes, but it's going to be warm while you are competing. It's, again, gross. It was gross. Now, there was an aspect to this event where, and probably the most important aspect to this event, where if it doesn't take place, if the Nations Challenge doesn't happen, the rest of the week goes very differently. It is announced just before the Nations Challenge starts that stickers on the boxes will not be cut, which is a shock to everybody. We're also told this will be the case for the remainder of the week as well. So for the knockout stages, stickers will not be removed or pre-cut from the boxes. That is detrimental. Now, if you are potentially not someone who competes a lot in speed puzzling, or maybe if you are, I don't know, you might argue that, you know what, opening the box is part of it. And yes, it is. It is part of the competition, but it hasn't been. Cutting of the stickers has not been a part of the World Championships for at least a year. When it was still the plastic wrap, that was easier to get open. Stickers are different. It's not easy just to peel them right off, especially when you are sitting in the hottest room in the world. Glue is going to get stickier and melt. You need to have a cutting tool of some sort. And luckily they did. They did give us a cutting tool. The worst one in the world as well. So maybe that was the world record for the day. This thing cutting butter would have been tough for this tool. Not ideal. It looked like a teardrop, which made sense because felt like crying when you had to try to figure out how to use this tool. It could have been a drop of sweat. That would match what was all over the tables as well. But not a great start. Part of my role on the Team Canada was also to open the box. So finding out just before that this was going to be the case, and not being able to practice with this tool, or having my own with me, because they did say don't bring your own tools. You had to use this one for whatever reason. That's for a future video, but you had to use this. And it was my job for Canada to open that box. So you have 9 pairs of eyes focusing on me, plus all the spectators as well. Trying to open that box felt like ages. And we were not the only ones to have a tough time. I know Finland did, Sweden had a tough time. I'm pretty sure the Netherlands did as well. I think it was France that just ripped their box open, so great for them. Not the best start. The Nations Challenge was a great way to kick off the week. It's the first time that there's countries competing against each other, people competing against each other. So this is really the first big event. And the hype is immediately extinguished when all you see is 20, 25 teams standing around tables, 9 people watching one person struggle to try to open this box. And I want to stress that I'm not exaggerating here. Here is a clip taken from the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation's live stream, and just watch the start of this event take place. They do the countdown, and as you can see, everyone's focused on the tables. Here we go. Some spectators in there, but if you go and watch any other speed puzzling competition, go back and watch last year's Guinness World Record attempt with the different nations competing against each other. There's so much bustle. There is so many things happening. Everyone at each table is moving. They're sorting out the pieces immediately from the start. If you look at this one, everyone is standing there, and you can kind of see at each table, Canada's right there in the middle up front, and that is me trying to open up this box. We're over 10 seconds in. People still can't get it open. Most teams, it wasn't until around the close to 20-second mark where that box is finally open. 20 seconds in a speed puzzling competition, I don't care if it's 500 pieces, 1,500 pieces, whatever. That is a long time to be fiddling around with these boxes. And the fact that this is what the rest of the week could be like is not filling a lot of people with hope. But keep in mind, you know what? It's their first day. It's fine. Seeing everyone struggle with that box sticker cutter was a concern for everyone. Imagine traveling all the way to the World Championships, especially for the non-Europeans. And there is a chance that you might not make it through because you had to spend an extra 10 to 20 seconds trying to open a box. That's not good. It's not good. Non-puzzling factors should not come into play in a speed puzzling competition, especially if you don't know about them in advance. Now, the WJPF will claim that it is in the rules, and it is, that this could happen. This was outlined well before that it was a possibility. But it was also outlined the year before and the year before that. So I know they're covering their bases. Perhaps it's just in case something goes wrong. But they would have known significantly in advance that this was going to be the case. There were discussions where they decided not to cut them to maintain the privacy of the images. That turned out not to be valid as a reason. But yeah, non-puzzling factors shouldn't come into place. Shouldn't come into play in a competition. Just like when you're sorting pieces, flipping them, putting them together, understanding shapes and patterns of the puzzles, the different cuts of the jigsaw puzzles, the ability to just open the box, not including stickers, but open the box, place it on a stand, open the bag within it, pour the pieces out. These are all part of the competition. And while some of them may seem a bit less puzzle relevant, they are something that you know is going to happen, that you can practice over and over again. And we do know that many people practice this. Practicing cutting open stickers, if we know far enough in advance, yeah, we'll be practicing that and including that into our time. But to be thrown this information at the 11th hour, not ideal. The incident at the Nations Challenge with trying to open these boxes led to a lot of complaints within the puzzlers themselves, but also towards the organizational group as well. There was a petition that got drafted to get the rules changed. So at the very least, opening the box wouldn't count towards your time. I do agree with that petition, how they would actually run that. I wasn't quite sure with it, because if all the boxes or all the puzzles are supposed to be secret before you start, are you going to get to open them and then look at the puzzles beforehand? Will they just take 15 seconds off of everyone's time? That doesn't seem like it's fair, especially if someone's really slow at it, or if someone is incredibly lucky with how their tool works. I had no idea. However, the WJPF, from stories that I've heard from previous years, they do have a reputation of not really bending the rules or the decisions they've made even a little. So would anything come of the complaints and the petition? We wouldn't know if anyone was successful in changing any of the rules or setup or approaches to the knockout stages, which wouldn't take place until the next day, or what I will describe as the first day. We all just had to wait and see. That night was also the welcome dinner, which took place shortly after the Nations Challenge. I was initially signed up to go to it. I was drained of any energy, so I didn't have it in me to go and socialize and be in what I assumed was going to be another very warm room. In hindsight, I probably should have dragged myself there. If I go again to Worlds, yeah, I would definitely take part in more of those types of events. But it was my first full day in Spain. I had the knockout stages coming up the next day. I probably had 1% body water left in my body. It was just drained in total. So instead, I ended up at a separate restaurant where food was accidentally ordered for me that I'm allergic to, but you know what? Stories are fun to tell. A lot happened over the course of just a few hours on day one inside of that dome. But it was an experience, and you know what? It was the first day. It's fine. That is it for this video and recapping day one. Next time, we will get into the first day of the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships knockout stages, where the individual rounds begin, and the first time ever that the individual rounds allow competitors to choose between two puzzles. I'm sure it will go perfectly. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Again, super glad you're here. Each week, I will also be posting Speed Puzzling 101 tips and tricks lessons, where they are brief lessons, 10 minutes or less most of the time, for those who are kind of getting into speed puzzling. For those of you that are much more advanced, maybe something I say will help a little bit or add to your speed puzzling toolbox. So yeah, there's that on this channel. I also interview other speed puzzlers. Those will be released periodically. Now that Worlds is done, the number of interviews is going to go up a lot more, as I can refocus on that and not so much on training for Worlds every day. And finally, I also cover my own puzzle journey and things that I kind of go through in this world of speed puzzling. At least for the next week or so, my focus on this channel will be the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships recap videos. I'll be going through reviewing my predictions I made as well. There'll be a video on pros and cons on if you may want to be considering the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships in 2026. But yeah, that is what is coming up on this channel. There will also be a new episode of Puzzled and Chatty, where I sit down with my 5th interviewee and we talk about their puzzle experiences and some interesting stories in there as well. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss that. Again, thank you for being here if you've been here before. If you are a new subscriber, appreciate you being here as well. It's, as I've mentioned in my very first video just over 3 months ago, I'll be running this channel as long as I can, bringing new things to it as well. I'm always looking for suggestions, advice, whatever it might be. Leave a comment below, click like if you enjoyed the videos. But that is it for this video. And as always, happy puzzling. Bye.